Your kidneys filter out 1 cup of blood every 2 minutes. That's 16,425 gallons a year. How do your kidneys filter out the blood? Well, it's actually quite simple once you know the functions and structures of the urinary tract. So the first things first is there's the renal artery and renal vein. The renal artery takes in the blood from the heart and sends it to the kidney where it is then filtered through. Once the blood has been filtered, the renal veins take the blood and drain it out of the kidneys and then send it through the inferior vena cava of the heart. The kidneys themselves are bean-shaped and located right beneath your lungs, and they're about the size of a fist. The kidneys filter out the blood and then send it as waste to the urinary system. Next is the urinary bladder. The urinary bladder can either expand or contract depending on how full it is, and it's actually what allows you to control how much urine or when you want to urinate. So, it is able to do so because it is filled with transitional epithelium. According to IUPUI, transitional epithelium is capable of contracting or expanding based off whether or not it is relaxed or tight. If it is tight, then it means that the bladder is full and is going to contract, making smaller appearing cells. And then if it is relaxed, it is going to be not full and will be larger appearing cells. Next is the ureter. The ureter goes directly from the kidney into the urinary bladder, and it's pretty much the passageway for that. Then there's also the urethra. The urethra is actually the exit that the urine uses to leave the body. Next, within the kidney itself, you have multiple structures and you have plenty of different things that contribute to the passage of urine. This is, as stated, the renal artery. So blood comes in through there and it then is drained out through the renal vein. And this is the ureter, which is sometimes considered a part of the kidney, but sometimes is considered its own structure because it does blend in and then the urine would travel out through there. So urine goes through here, about right there, inside of here, there are nephrons, and that's where the urine's actually formed. And then it goes through these drainage pipes into the ureter. So what are all these parts actually called? Well, all these parts are actually called as follows. First, there's the renal capsule, which surrounds the entire kidney. Now, this is meant to protect the kidney, and it's made of collagen and elastin. It helps protect the vital tissues that make up the kidney. Next is the renal medullus. The renal medullus is in the innermost part, and it's what actually contains the nephrons and the renal pyramids. Then there's the renal pelvis, and the renal pelvis works as a drain or a funnel for the urine to leave the body. Next is the renal cortex, which is where ultrafiltration occurs within the kidney. Next, there's the renal/medullary pyramid, which is within the renal medulla, but it is its separate function of having the actual nephrons within itself. Then there's the ureter, which is sometimes considered a part of the kidney, sometimes not, but it's pretty much just a little tube that the urine goes through to the urinary bladder. Next is the minor calyx and the major calyx. The minor calyx are the tubes that converge to form the major calyx, which is where the body actually uses as like a holding space before it exits out the ureter. Next is the glomerulus, which is a collection of capillaries that form around the nephron, and because capillaries have such thin walls, it allows for diffusion outside of the capillaries into the glomerulus area. Next is the glomerulus capsule or Bowman's capsule, which is the sac that actually takes in the filtrations procured by the glomerulus and uses them to make urine. And those move out towards the tubes. And the tubes are also known as collecting ducts, and collecting ducts collect the urine from the glomerulus and then nephrons, and then allows it to exit the body through the ureter. Then the loop of Henle is a separate loop within the medulla that allows for water and salt to be reabsorbed because you don't want all of those to exit the body. So the actual process of blood leaving the body, leaving the kidneys, not the body, is blood goes through the renal arteries, then out through the nephron, then to the glomerulus, then out through the renal veins. So this is according to the National Institute of Health. And then urine, according to pltw.org, moves from the glomerulus to Bowman's capsule, to the loop of Henle, to the collecting ducts, to the minor calyx, to the major calyx, to the renal pelvis, then through the ureter, out to the urinary bladder, and finally exiting the body through the urethra. So this is a very important process, and if it didn't occur, you would not be able to survive. If it didn't happen, you would eventually come down with uranemia. Uranemia is when the body builds up waste and salts because it is not filtering out through the blood. So if your kidneys fail, you would need to have some other type of procedure like dialysis to help you be able to function as a normal human being. Now this is according to templehealth.org, but if you continue with untreated uranemia, it will result in seizures, comas, and possibly even death.